Good evening, everyone. We'll get started. Sorry, we'll get started here in 2 minutes. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome to the Monday, August 30th City Council meeting via Zoom. Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Alderman Santee.
Here.
Alderman Glab.
Here.
Alderman McClatchy.
Here.
Alderman Harding.
Here.
Alderman Strack.
Here.
Alderman Devine.
Here.
Alderwoman Miller. Here.
Thank you. Can you please stand for the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started with the public hearing portion of the meeting. It's 7 o'clock. So we'll open up the public hearing portion. Is there anyone from the public that would like to make a public comment for the public hearing portion of the meeting? And this is regarding the special service area ordinance number 12 for the proposed lots 1 and 2 of the authentic subdivision in McHenry.
This is the backup
We have to approve,
SSA for the continental development of Authentics off of Route 31 to the east there. Just to maintain property and it's necessary in the future, the city will have the authority to do so. If there's no public comments, we'll close the public hearing and then we'll move on to the next agenda item, which gets moving forward to actually adopting the SSA.
Hey,
So this
David,
time-
your audio is really off.
Okay, well, do I need to repeat or is everybody good?
Hey, Mayor Judd, it looked like Jack had his hand up.
Sure. All right. So we'll go ahead and open up the public hearing portion. Jack, you want to go ahead and make a public comment?
I'm able to make a public comment, not on this topic. Is that correct?
So if it's not on this topic, we'll go ahead and move on later into the agenda. What item is it?
It's not related to the agenda.
All right, so well, the next public comment portion, I'll go ahead and call on you for a public comment. Awesome. Thanks, Jack. Any public comment regarding the public hearing portion? All right, see none. I'm looking for a motion to close the public hearing. Alderman Miller,
So moved.
thank you. Second, Alderman McClatchy,
Second,
thank you. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Miller.
Yes.
Alderman McClatchy.
yes.
Alderman Glab.
yes,
Alderman Santee.
Yes.
Alderman Harding.
Yes.
Alderman Strack.
Yes.
Alderman Devine.
Yes.
Thank you, Council. Number 5 on the agenda is a motion to adopt determination of protests and objections by the City Council regarding proposed special service area number 12 for proposed lots 1 and 2 of the authentic subdivision in McHenry. I am looking for a motion and a second for this item. Alderman Santee,
I'll make the motion on this item
thank you.
as presented.
Alderman Miller,
I'll second.
thank you. Discussion on this item by council. See none. I'll open up for public comment regarding this item. See none. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Santee.
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller.
Yes.
Alderman Devine,
Yes.
Alderman Strack,
Yes.
Alderman Harding,
Yes.
Alderman McClatchy,
yes,
Alderman Glad.
Yes.
Thank you, council. Next item on the agenda is public comment. This is an opportunity to make your public comment regarding items that are not on the agenda this evening. And Jack, you can go ahead.
Hi, City Council. Thanks. I've never spoken on these before. And so since I've never spoken, I just really say thank you for all the work you do. A lot of us know it. You guys put a lot of time in it and sometimes it's thankless. So thank you. I wanted to address the council for a concern I have about the state, I guess, with Governor Pritzker's new mandates. I'm a little bit concerned because there doesn't seem to be a limiting principle operating in what he's doing. And one can make an assumption that as 14 days to flatten the curve is turning into 2 years now, I'm worried about what's going to stop at for businesses, for employees, for people in the city. A lot of times when people bring up statistics, an argument can happen, it can ensue. It's not my goal, but I just learned one yesterday I want to share with you. I want to win you, not argue. The stat I heard yesterday that I thought just dropped my jaw was that 17 and under juveniles in Illinois of COVID deaths, only 12. Each life is precious and made in God's image. But from a public policy standpoint, 12 children have died. And yet in the schools, the governor's taken away rights from the local school boards and moving it to the state school board if they don't comply with his orders. Teachers are being forced to be vaccinated or get fired. Or if they have some kind of exemption, they can live as a second-class citizen in their career among their peers. I'm beginning to think that some of these mandates are no longer proportional at all to what is going on. And I'm worried that it actually may be tyranny, that it's so oppressive and so disconnected from the situation at hand with no end in sight, with no limiting principles operating seemingly. We're facing tyranny a little bit, it looks like. I don't know how else to categorize it other than when I look at the definition of tyranny, that seems to be the definition of what's going on. And so I just wanted to remind the city council tonight of one of the duties that hasn't come before city councils in a long time. And that is the duty of the lesser magistrate. It's not a title you've ever heard probably, but the principle, you know it well. In the schoolyard, when a bully picks on a first grader, that sixth grader steps in and intercedes and interposes himself against that bully to stop the tyranny of the bully. It's the same principle here. It's been used for thousands of years, every place where freedom has been fought for. And you guys are lesser magistrates. You have the power of the people and the will of an election. And to stand against the governor, it's high time, because we don't know what his limiting principles are. This could go on who knows long. So I guess I'm calling on the city council. I'm invoking you all to that duty as lesser magistrates to stand against the governor and anyone who would agree with him. This heavy-handed oppression where people are facing getting fired or taking a jab or living as a second-class citizen. And that's not me trying to start an argument, as so often happens. I think with the honest view, a lot of these things are out of proportion. It's a God-given duty that you guys have. It's a weighty matter. I don't envy any of you in your position, but it is a growing concern among thousands in this city. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jack. I appreciate that. Is there any other public comment? If so, please unmute yourself. I see none. Once again, thank you, Jack. I know you've never done this. Normally, we do not respond to any public comments, just so you know. It's not like I'm just ignoring you. So I just want to make sure you're aware of that. So I appreciate that. All right, moving on. Consent agenda, items 7A through 7D. I'm looking for a motion in a second to approve 7A through 7D. Alderman Harding,
I make that motion to approve consent agenda.
thank you. Second, Alderman Miller.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion on these items? Alderman Strack, go ahead.
Just a quick question, Mayor. Do we not have an E item on this agenda as well?
I do not have it on mine.
Mayor Jett, Monty did send a revised one. I do have it on mine. E is the issuance of the checks.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Oh, actually. There we go. Got it right
Probably
here.
go through- We should
Perfect.
probably go through all of them just to make sure everybody's clear.
Excellent.
All right. Derek, are you on the line? My new one only has through D, actually.
All right. Yeah, I don't have the updated
You want
one.
to go ahead and,
So,
I have the updated one. Do you want me to read them?
thank you, Sue. You're awesome. Go ahead.
Absolutely. So the consent agenda A, authorize the chief of police to sign a purchase agreement with Brand F Communication purchasing a new siren in the amount of $26,273 and adopt an ordinance amending fiscal year 21-22 general fund budget in the amount of $26,273. B, an ordinance authorizing an intergovernmental agreement for the mutual aid and assistance in law enforcement between the city of McHenry and the village of Algonquin, and authorize the chief of police to execute this IGA. C, block party permit for Killalay, I can never say that, Lane, is September 4th, 2021. D, August 16th, 2021 city council meeting minutes. And E, issuance of checks in the amount of $222,510.25.
Thank you, Sue. I appreciate that. So yeah, so the existing 7A was separated to 7A, 7B. So that's what the change was. So I apologize. I didn't have that. So I'm looking for the motion for 7A through 7E. Are you
Mayor.
you good with that? Alderman Harding, you're good with the motion that you made?
yes, I'm good with the motion.
In second? Alderman
Good.
Miller, you're good? Okay. All right, discussion on these items? Alderman Glenn?
Yeah, I don't know, did we publish the change properly? When you went online, it is not on there to be inserted. Granted, you gave it to the council members at a time and all that, but as far as the proper publishing, I've got to question it. And I have no problems with spending the money and maybe even giving the chief a go-ahead to move on forward with this. And maybe so that it is properly posted, that we vote on that A at the next meeting, so that nobody could say that we added anything into the agenda and broke any open meetings acts.
Monty, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. So this is a couple times as far as your emails go. I need to check with IT. It seems that some people are missing emails like through the distribution list. But on the website, like I just checked again just now, it should have the proper agenda on there. I did it the next day since it was more than 48 hours in advance. Unless somebody's website link isn't working right. From what I can see, the proper agenda has been on there for the right period of time, unless somebody can show me different.
Okay, as long as it's been on there, then I don't have a problem with it.
Okay, thanks.
I
Alderman Strack, go ahead.
just pulled it as well, and looking at it live, I hadn't been on that particular link, and it does pull the one with E on it on the website.
Thank you. All right, perfect. That clears that up. All right, any other discussions on these items? Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Harding,
Yes,
Alderwoman Miller,
Yes.
Alderman Devine,
Yes.
Alderman Strack,
Yes,
Alderman McClatchy,
Yes,
Alderman Glad,
Yes,
Alderman Santee.
Yes.
Thank you, council. Next item on the agenda is 8A, is a motion to grant a variance to section 10-12-4 of the City of McHenry zoning ordinance to allow a ground-mounted solar array at 5151 Bolger Court. Director Palarecki, you want to go ahead and present this item?
Thank you, Mayor. So Community Development received a request from Novation Industries located at 5151 Bolger Court to install a ground-mounted solar panel. Novation Industries specializes in custom manufacturing solutions and integrated product development services, including design, injection molding, sourcing, contract molding, and logistics. They are also we've already approved a plan to put solar panels on the roof, which is allowed by ordinance. One thing I do want to clear up on this, though, in the motion, I made a mistake. It is not a variance from the zoning ordinance. It's actually from the municipal code, as this section falls under Title 10, which is building regulations. So we'll probably have to change that motion when you make that motion.
So what portion do we need to change on it?
So it'll be a motion to grant a variance to section 10-12-4 of the City of McHenry Municipal Code.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. All right. Thank you. Appreciate it. I am looking for a motion and second for this item. Alderman
12.
McClatchy?
Yes, I would move that we approve it with those changes.
Thank you. Alderman Santee?
I will second.
Thank you. Discussion by council on this item. Alderman Glad?
Yeah. But how much difference is this? Basically, I mean, it's on the ground. It's going to look very similar, I would imagine, to the one that we see up on the west side of 31, just a little north of Bull Valley, correct?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
similar in nature. Yep.
Now, the question I've got is, we do get a municipal tax on electricity, correct?
Carolyn? Yeah, we do. I think we do, don't we?
Carolyn?
It's out of my realm.
On electricity, no.
We do, right, Carol?
No, we don't.
No, not on electricity.
Not on electricity at all?
Nope.
Okay. I just tend to wonder how it would affect any kind of taxes. When you collect this energy, you become a power plant to some extent because you are feeding energy back to ComEd. And I just think maybe it's something that we ought to look at. Are we missing on a revenue there? And then again, maybe we can't legally do that. I don't know. But maybe it's just something for the future that we should look at.
Carolyn, isn't that the utility tax that we had talked about a couple years ago?
Yes.
Yeah, so maybe we can have that discussion, Alderman Glab, as part of the budget process.
Yeah, I'm just looking at, they're saving on electricity. They're actually probably with that size yard, maybe even generating more than what they use. I don't know. Just don't want to make sure that we're not losing any possibility of revenue that's out there.
Any other questions, comments regarding 8A? Go ahead and open up for public comment. Is there any public comment regarding this item? Okay. Clerk, can you please call the roll call for 8A is the motion to grant a variance to section 10-12-4 of the City of McHenry Municipal Code to allow a ground mounted solar array at 5151 Bolger Court.
Alderman McClatchy?
Yes,
Alderman Santee?
Yes.
Alderman Glad?
Yes.
Alderman Harding?
Yes.
Alderman Strack?
Yes.
Alderman Devine?
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller?
Yes.
Thank you, council. Next item on the agenda is 8B, is a motion to authorize the mayor, city clerk, city administrator, and city attorney to prepare and sign all contracts and closing documents necessary to purchase the vacant property at 1209 North Green Street, former McHenry Savings Bank, for a gross purchase price not to exceed $385,000, and adopt an ordinance amending the fiscal year 21-22 general fund budget in the amount of $385,000 to facilitate the purchase. As you all were aware, we were negotiating over the last couple of weeks with the McHenry Savings Bank and got an agreement of $385,000. And it's before you tonight for approval. And I am looking for a motion and a second to approve. Alderman Santee?
I will make the motion to approve the purchase of the former McHenry Savings Bank property at 1209 Green Street for $385,000 as presented tonight.
Thank you. Second?
And the budget amendment? Sorry.
And the budget amendment also, thank you.
Alderman Strack?
Second that motion.
All right, perfect. Discussion on this item. Alderman Santee, go ahead.
it's fantastic that we're able to do this and get some more parking for a key downtown area on Green Street. I just want to reiterate that there are other areas that, for example, Riverside Drive, which has always been a prosperous, active downtown section that is in need of some spaces soon, and hopefully we'll find something, for that facility in that area. We're looking for probably about 30 to 40 spaces. Hopefully we can do that sometime in the near future. Convenient spaces, when I want to define it that way, and look forward to making that area also more attractive with getting the Riverwalk built in that section, hopefully within the near future. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions by the council? Alderman Glad, go ahead.
Yeah, we're looking at having to repave this parking lot, correct? As well as the other parking that have we got any idea how much we're talking about and where we're going to get this money?
Troy's working on pricing. I don't think he has it yet, but we are working on the pricing for that.
And do we expect to get the revenue to do this?
Would it come out of either the general fund or the TIF? Because it is in the TIF district.
Right. We'll have that discussion once we get pricing and see what we're going to do from there.
And I understand that, but we know that this was coming up. I would have hoped that we would have had all our ducks in a row as far as the costs and everything else, so that as we are jumping into these projects, that we have some idea of where we're going as far as total cost of the entire project.
We certainly have an idea. Troy and staff, we did meet. Troy, do you have any numbers at all?
And I'm not looking for an exact number, just an estimate.
Yeah, we worked up some very quick ballpark numbers. If we were to resurface that and the adjacent areas, which are also in need of resurfacing, preliminarily, we were in the neighborhood of, say, $300,000. We've also looked at a concept to reconstruct a brand new lot that encompasses the entirety of all the property we now hold. New configuration, new curb and gutter, new underground storm sewer system, and that is probably $1 million plus. So it really depends whether we want to just do the existing and resurface it or completely overhaul it. But the resurfacing isn't. I don't believe it's a really burdensome number.
Thank you, Troy. So we'll bring that back once we get more information.
I can see it being part of the 22-23 budget process as a project for, again, whatever scope council chooses to do, but at a minimum, the resurfacing part of it.
Perfect. Any other questions, comments by council? All right, open up for public comment. Is there anyone from the public that would like to make a public comment regarding this item? See none? Clerk, can you please call the roll for 8B as presented?
Alderman Santee,
Yes.
Alderman Strack,
Yes.
Alderman Glad,
Yeah.
Alderman McClatchy,
Yes.
Alderman Harding,
Yes.
Alderman Devine,
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller,
Yes.
Thank you, council. Next item is 8C is a motion to delete Windridge Drive, approximately 1,247 lineal feet from the city 2022 road resurfacing program, and add River Stream Drive, approximately 906 lineal feet, to the city of McHenry 2022 road resurfacing program. I expressed my concern regarding this road resurfacing program, adding this Windridge Drive. I did drive that street myself, and I did express that I was in support of Pat Devine on this, as he was expressing his concerns as well. After talking with majority of the council, I felt we needed to bring this back to as a separate motion to remove and delete Windridge Drive from the program and add River Stream Drive. So this is where we're at. I'm looking for a motion on this item in a second. Alderman Devine.
I will make that motion as presented.
Thank you. Second? Alderwoman Miller,
I'll second that motion.
thank you. Open it up for discussion by council. Alderman McClatchy, go ahead.
Yes, last meeting, I made a mistake. Normally, I support 90% what comes out of a committee. This time I didn't. The survey cost us about $40,000. And we did that to have a game plan so we don't end up in situations like this. To me, if we don't follow that, we're wasting taxpayer money. And just, no alderman, no city official, no department head came to me to make my decision. My conscience did. It's the right thing to do. That's it.
Appreciate that. Any other questions, comments regarding this item? Alderman Glad, go ahead.
Yeah, number one, we spent, I think it was more closer to 50,000 than 40,000 for this survey. But the survey gives us all the information book smart, okay? Why do we have a city council here to make those decisions, to listen to our constituents and to vote according to what our constituents are telling us, versus just what the book says? Yes, we can take and we can look at all these surfaces throughout the city. The survey was done, what, 2 years ago, 3 years ago? Every road in the city has changed since the survey was taken. And it will continue every year and to say that, oh, well, maybe we need to take another survey in another 5 years or whatever. No. It's fine, maybe every 20 years, just like what we did to go through and do these surveys and know exactly, has there been that much of a change in the compaction ratio of the streets and all that. But the surface is what people drive on. And we just need to make sure that the bases of the roads and everything are in good condition. But as far as the surface, that should be traveled every year. Alderman Devine made a stunning presentation at the last meeting, more than I've heard him say on any issue since he sat there. And the thing is I've been hounding for certain streets that have needed to be done. One that's worse than just probably any street in Lakeland Park, and is heavily driven compared to any street in Lakeland Park, yet it's ignored. And Windridge, again, went through what was asked for them to do after they inquired. It went through the committee. It went through council, but now the mayor doesn't like it, so he's going to call other aldermen up and have them change it. And to me, I think that's not a very good way to take and do what we've done, or what you're planning to do. I think to some extent, if we don't listen to our constituents, what are we going to just listen to staff every time?
This has nothing to do with staff.
Is staff going to be at the election polls and everybody else is going to be away? No. We take and we get elected by people that live in this city, and if we just ignore what they have to say, then I think to some extent we turn it more into a socialist government than a democratic government when those type of things happen. And if it had died at committee, it'd have been one thing, but it went through all the processes it should have. It got approved. Everybody was happy. Then all of a sudden, one person wasn't happy, or two people weren't happy because you didn't get a hold of Devine, or Devine didn't get a hold of you after the meeting, because you got at the meeting and you supported him at the meeting. Okay, so don't get your facts straight. Get them straight. You took and supported him at the last meeting on this, and yet the council still voted 6-1. And now all of a sudden we're changing it. And I just think to some extent, again, I had no part in whatsoever into getting the petitions and everything else, but my constituents did get that petition just like they were asked to, and took it to committee. And then I got a copy of it like 2 days before the committee, just so I knew what was being presented. And I just think to some extent, we're not giving any kind of due justice to the people on Wind Ridge that have done everything that was asked of them.
Thank you. Alderman Santee, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Just for the record, at the committee meeting, we sat down and we were going through this. Yes, I received some phone calls. Yes, I talked to constituents, some in my ward, some in not in my ward. And I did, I did my research. We talked, believe me, Troy, who I respect to the utmost, and he's doing an excellent job of putting $4 million into this program this year. I just had recalled 5 years back that a lady on Valley Drive was very concerned, and I know there had been some patchwork done there. She went door to door and did her due diligence. I made the suggestion. I made the idea to the people on Wind Ridge to send in the list. Is Wind Ridge in the very poor ratings? No, it isn't. It's fairly close, but there's a lot of streets that need to be done. And they spoke up. Yes, I did listen to them. Yes, I made the conscious effort to looking at the committee level to make that suggestion. And then it did pass, and then it went on to the council, and it passed 6-1. And the only other item on it is that you have to engage yourself, and you have to really look into it and drive some of the streets. And I think I've said it now 4 or 5 times, take a ride and check some of these roads off. Check some of these roads. For example, River Stream, which the mayor in this motion wants to put it back on. Yes, the River Stream does need some work. It's probably in about the same condition as Windstream, maybe a little bit worse, but we're doing a 1 block area of River Stream, and it turns into Judy Lane. And we're looking at doing Judy Lane between 6 to 8 years down the road. So if it's in about the same ballpark as just as when you drive it, not the ratings, but just as you drive it, it's about the same quality as a Wind Ridge. And why not do 2 blocks at one time? And that was my thinking there. And just once again, I'll say that $4 million going into this is fantastic. And I hope to keep these amounts, not necessarily at 4, but somewhere probably around 2, possibly 2.5 in the upcoming years. And my only other comment is that, Mayor Jett, you mentioned that you talked to the majority of the council members, and with all due respect, you are the mayor. I believe you should reach out to everyone and have a professional conversation, especially with a trend like this, and with many others too. And but once again, this is the way. This is how councils are run. We agree to disagree. We're going to take a vote here real soon, and then we move forward to our next topic. Thank you very much for listening. Appreciate it.
Thanks. And for the record, I reached out to 6 council members. The 7th one doesn't really ever text me back or call me back. So that's the reason I didn't call the 7th. So moving on, any other council members have any comments? Alderman Glab, go ahead.
Yeah. All right. Why don't you just name the 7th person? You never got a hold of me there, Wayne. Okay.
I'm not going to argue with you.
No.
Once again,
there's no reason why 7 aldermen weren't called.
Alderman Glab, I have text. Alderman Glab, I'm not having this conversation or arguing with you. I have text you.
It's on record. That's all that matters. You did not text me. You did not email me. You did nothing but ignore me. And thank you for that.
All right. Thank you. Any other council members have any questions, comments? Open it up for public comment. Is there anyone in the public that would like to make a public comment regarding this item? All right. Clerk, can you please call the roll for 8C as presented?
Alderman Devine,
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller,
Yes.
Alderman Strack,
Yes.
Alderman Harding,
Yes.
Alderman McClatchy,
Yes.
Alderman Glad,
No,
Alderman Santee.
No.
Thank you, council. Next item on the agenda is a motion to approve an ordinance amending Title I, Administration, Chapter 6, City Council, subsection 5 committees by deleting subsection 5 committees in its entirety. We've had discussions over the past about committees. Obviously more meetings isn't always get more things done. But this is a perfect example of going to a committee regarding the road, the item that right before this one, versus having a committee of the whole or having discussion at a city council meeting regarding the item and bringing it back for an approval. So I think it's the right time to delete committees. Now, if there's a big item that comes up, let's say the gravel pit, and we want to put a committee together for, and not a standing committee, but we want to put a committee together for a specific item that the council thinks that we should put a committee together for it, then we could certainly do that. But I think we've showed that the discussion items at the council level, but also a committee of the whole, if it's a bigger item and a bigger discussion. I think it's important that we all work together as 7 council members and a mayor and then city administration to work together on these items, especially when they're bigger items that we've had in the past in the committee side of things. So at this time, I'm looking for a motion to approve 8D as presented. Alderman Strack,
So moved.
second. Alderman Devine,
I will second.
thank you. Discussion by council. Alderman Glad,
yep. It's just another move to weaken the council and to give the mayor more power, and it just negates again the reason that we have a city council.
any other council members have any questions? Alderman Santee, go ahead.
Yeah. Are we designating a different day of the week, a different Monday of the month for committee of the whole meetings?
So we will put a committee of the whole meeting once an item is discussed. Obviously it all depends on how things happen and different topics, road program, finance, stuff like that. But obviously Derek Moorfield and myself and the directors, we meet on a regular basis. If there's an item that is going to be a longer discussion, we'll certainly put it on a meeting, because we don't want meetings to run 4 hours long, right? We don't want that. So,
I understand that.
to say that we're going to put I don't want to just put, once again, that's a standing committee at that point, or a committee of a whole. I would rather have that meeting set, as items come up.
And just a concern that I have, Mayor, is that finance committees used to meet like at 5:30 in the evenings and give themselves an hour and a half.
Mhm.
And they did not get through their agenda item or items. And I just don't want this always falling in front of a regular meeting just because it's a quote short agenda.
Sure.
Where we're going to box ourselves into a 60-minute time slot, let's say, for an item. And maybe we don't get we don't get it completed. So that's my concern there. I know years ago also we did have meetings, on the fifth Mondays. We do have a certain amount of the fifth Monday during the year that we could maybe tentatively put in committee of the whole meetings there. As long as we have them on the books, we can easily take them off if we don't have topics. And but if we do have topics, then they can get submitted and be presented on that fifth Monday.
Derek, do you have something?
Just a comment on Alderman Santee's first point there. My recommendation would be that if council if we have a topic that the majority of council believes warrants a separate meeting or a separate discussion, or maybe we have it on as a discussion item in a regular council meeting and it looks like it's going to be too much or too in depth for that council meeting, we pick a separate time to meet. So I agree with you, Vic, that trying to meet before a regular city council meeting just doesn't work. We've tried to do that with committee of the whole meetings, and committee meetings and things like that in the past, I would say that if a topic comes up, I'll use the gravel pit as the example because that's a past example. If that's a topic that's going to require multiple meetings, multiple in-depth conversations of the city council, we don't want to detract from a regular city council meeting. Then we set a committee of the whole or special meeting or break off as a separate ad hoc committee just to deal with that specific topic. I would not recommend, I agree with you, Vic, I would not recommend going before city council meetings. It doesn't give enough time for those to happen.
Alderman Santi, go ahead.
No, thank you very much, Derek. You kind of stole a little bit of my thunder. I had one other note
Oh, sorry.
to mention. No, that's okay. It's great because we're thinking in tandem. That's fantastic. These discussion items, I was thinking about this as I was reading the agenda this week. I'm thinking, well, discussion items are almost like committee of the whole items. Are they as pertinent or as heavy duty as like a gravel pit discussion to per se push them into their own night? I don't think so for the most part, but I'm not going to be the final judge there. And I'm going to, I guess, go to staff and the mayor and hopefully even input from, please contact council members in regards to should this have its own night and why or why not? Because discussion items have bared some fruit, I think. And I do like that. It's tough. You can't really limit the agenda item, but to have a good discussion and have a good feeling of which way the council is going is fantastic. So I guess it's different levels to me where discussion items can be inputted virtually at any time in meetings as far as I'm concerned. But if it's a long-term presentation, how about a big time development that wants to come in? We may want to just sit down with that thing and go through it as one night on its own, depending on the size of the development. And I appreciate anybody else's input, but that's some of my thoughts.
Thank you. Alderman Glavine.
Don't we have a committee of the whole that's supposed to be coming up to discuss water rates?
Derek.
My recollection is we did not agree to a committee of the whole. It was either going to go back to a committee to discuss or come back to the city council for discussion.
Okay, but my recollection, I'm sorry, but my recollection was that we were talking about doing a committee of the whole, and then you said that you would put it on a agenda with a lighter item.
Yeah.
Lighter items to make sure that we had plenty of time to discuss it.
Yeah.
And
So
go back to your minutes of your meetings or your video and review it because you'll see that's what you said. I'm not just making it up. I think it's issue that a lot of people are talking about, and it's something that, yes, we do have to address, but so therefore we do need the time to discuss this. And I think to some extent, I think we need to get some facts when we do that, and that some of it is the debt service that we have now and how long either one of those are, and is there a way to escalate or possibly raise the rates a little right now to alleviate that first $6 one before we start incorporating the second or the third special hit.
We'll make sure that there's time. We'll make sure that there's enough time to have that conversation, or we'll make it a committee of the whole meeting. So we'll see what's coming up here in the next agenda. Derek and I will have that discussion, and we will make sure. I mean, that our goal is not to jam it into a meeting and just, that's not our goal. So we'll make sure that there's enough time when we add these discussion items or these committee of the whole involved in our normal agendas on city council meetings. So we'll make sure there's enough time. David McCardle, you have anything?
Yeah, I just can tell you, if you look around this particular county, other towns have done this for years. Lake in the Hills has met as a committee of the whole and eliminated their subcommittees long ago. I think Algonquin's done it, and I'm not sure, but I think Huntley does it as well. So I think that's relevant. I think they all wanted to get away from so many meetings because people were on multiple committees, and they felt that having one group meeting that they avoided having to repeat it again to the others who weren't present, for what that's worth.
Thank you, David.
Thanks.
Any other questions, comments? Alderman Glam?
Yeah, it's just so that, and Attorney McCardle was there for those years when we used to have 3 meetings a month. And I believe Alderman McClatchy was there also. I mean, we used to have first, second, and third, and first, second, and fourth on a 5 Monday month. So it was cut down to 2 because there was less and less being brought to council. And so they decided to have fewer meetings. And that was besides the committee meetings that we used to have. And we've had very few committee meetings over the last several years. You know, I can remember when we had finance committees where they would have 3 of them before the budget, just to discuss the budget. And those were important meetings. You know, staff and that committee came up with some great recommendations for budgets.
So the way it's, one more comment if I could, the way it's done, I'm not sure whether it's Algonquin or Lake and Hills, but the whole purpose was to, at the committee of the whole, there was full discussion on all topics. I think it was Algonquin. And before it got to the city council level for a voting meeting, let's call it. So that was a pretty intense meeting. They could go long at the committee of the whole, but when it got to city council, 20 minutes in and out because the discussion was done. There's no more discussion at the city council level anyway, because they did it all at the committee of the whole. That takes a lot of deliberation on the city council part to get it all out at the committee meeting. But if you do it properly, really 1 meeting a month is tough and the others should go fairly smoothly.
So what you're saying, David, is they don't have the committees anymore, but they do the committee of the wholes every month or whatever they need it.
Yeah, and that's a detailed meeting. It's sometimes they're tough, but it's 1 night a month and they do it all.
I guess my question is this efficient the way we're doing it now, or is it inefficient the way we're doing it now? I mean, we have tough, difficult topics come before council. There's opportunity for debate, deliberation, consensus building, whatever it is. At 2 meetings a month or however often, 3 meetings a month in August, we actually met 3 times in August. And does a majority of the council feel the need to add another meeting that's only to hash through every single topic and then get back together to vote on the topics? Different than what we're doing now.
Alderman Miller, go ahead.
I think we're moving in the direction of efficiency, which is why we're eliminating committees. We were debating in committee, bringing forth our recommendation and then having to re-debate or discuss in council. So we were defeating the whole purpose of having the discussion at committee when we were having to re-debate it at council. So you either accept the recommendation of committee or debate it at council. So I think this motion is moving us in the direction of efficiency. We either discuss it as a whole at council, or you accept the recommendation of committee, which is what I have found frustrating as a new council person, that we've made a decision at committee, we bring it to council, and then council wants to beat it up and debate it again. I get that there's discussion and that's important, but you either accept the recommendation of the committee who's done the legwork and the homework with staff, or bring it to council and we do the legwork here. You can't have your cake and eat it too. So I like the motion and that's why I'm supporting the motion. Let's get rid of committees. Let's do all the work here, all in. We know that's going to take more time. We know it's going to be discussion of the whole, but why do the work twice when everybody wants to do the work here? So we're just going to have to plan our Mondays. We're not going to have 20-minute meetings. We're going to have longer meetings, and we're all going to have to suck it up and show up and be ready to work.
Thank you, sir. Any other discussion by council? Alderman Glad, go ahead.
Yeah, and I think a perfect example is the Windridge. As far as what McCardle brought up, as far as the committee is, that was it Algonquin, Dave, that you brought up? they
Yeah, it was Algonquin.
basically take, and they have their committee of the whole, then they bring it back to a regular council meeting afterwards the next time around with little discussion and then approve it. And that gives the council members time for it to, let's say, sink in. I mean, you know, layman's terms. I mean, you think about it, and this council had plenty of time. 6 out of the 7 aldermen were at the committee meeting. It went to the council, but yet then afterwards, with discussions with you or whoever, the minds were changed. People's minds changed in a 2-week period. And so therefore, if we do the committee of the wholes, that gives all the aldermen enough time to draw in everything that was discussed and to come up with a good decision at the next meeting.
And we do the same thing now. I mean, when we have a discussion item at a council meeting, we discuss it, we get it figured out, and we bring it to the next meeting, which is 2 weeks later, to approve it or deny it, whatever the case may be.
Once in a while we do that. I mean, when we have a discussion, yeah. But I mean,
we do those on a regular basis usually.
Bigger items. Sure.
So, any other concerns, comments, questions by council? Open up for public input. Any public input regarding this item 8D as presented? Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Schrock,
Yes.
Alderman Devine,
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller,
Yes.
Alderman Harding,
Yes.
Alderman McClatchy,
Yes.
Alderman Glad,
No.
Alderman Santee,
Yes.
Thank you, council. Next item on the agenda is staff reports, which obviously you've received. Is there any other updated staff reports this evening? No? Okay. Mayor's report, I have nothing tonight. City council comments. Alderman Glad.
Yeah, I have a situation in my neighborhood across the street, a couple doors down, that a family took, and I don't know if it was the father-in-law or the father who bought the kids a basketball hoop and everything else, which is great. You know, the kids have, they're younger kids. However, they do have a little bit of a sloping driveway, which you find common in Whispering Oaks. And I've noticed on several occasions the ball getting away and rolling down into the street. You're talking a 6 or 7 year old, and I don't know what the age of the older one is, but I mean, you know, kids, and they get into playing. Sometimes they're not watching what they're doing. I did discuss it with the chief, and I thank you, chief, for putting up that speed limit sign digital for a period of time, just like our normal. However, I did ask staff to put up a children at play sign, and all I'm getting is feedback that, well, we don't do that anymore, and all the reasons why we can't do something instead of why we can. And I think a simple sign that an alderman requests, a safety sign, to say that, well, according to statistics, it doesn't work, and that it gives the people a false sense of security. Well, then we should take all those signs down everywhere throughout the city. Maybe we should take all the school alert signs all the way down the city, the crossing lights, and maybe even the red traffic lights, because you know what? Is it a false sense of security that if the light turns green, that people pull out? But people do go through a red light. So all I'm saying is it's a poor fallacy to take and say, well, we can't put up a sign for that. It's a simple little sign that I'm asking for, is just children at play. And I can't believe I'm getting that kind of resistance for a small sign like children at play. There's a speed limit sign there where all it needs to be is bolted onto the sign. And I'll leave it.
Alderman Glab, I sent you an email on August 3rd that provided you the Illinois Department of Transportation's guidelines on those signs with their official recommendation not to use them because of the false sense of security. I did ask you for a response back if you'd like to take that in a different direction. So that's been since August 3rd. That was 27 days ago. I have not heard back from you. I also offered in that email to you that I would send a police officer over to that family to actually speak with the parents and the children about roadway safety and about chasing the wall to try to alleviate some of the risk factors there. And I didn't hear back from you on that either. But if you'd like to get together with me offline after this meeting, I'd be more than happy to arrange for those things to occur.
Well, Chief, basically, usually it has always been that when we're talking street signs, that we talk to the Director of Public Works, and that's who I've been dealing with as far as this issue. And to get that type of comments back, I'm sorry. It was a small, easy request, and I don't see any negativity to it, but I could see where all it takes is one or two people possibly to think about that as they're going down the street could save some problems. So
I could provide that written documentation from IDOT if anybody else would want it to on that recommendation.
okay. Are we taking down all the other signs in the city then for those, correct? Why would we get them up in certain neighborhoods, but yet other neighborhoods we can't have them in?
So I can answer that. Most of the other signs we have, not all of them, are specifically called out and authorized in the manual on uniform traffic control devices. That document that Chief Burke referred to, I actually was the one that pulled that. It not just is written by the Illinois Department of Transportation, it references probably a dozen or more states, state agencies, and Federal Highway Administration that has all come to essentially the same determination. The entire civil engineering and traffic control industry has made the same.
It's also the same department, Illinois Department of Transportation, that also sent us and said that Water's Edge is a residential street. When everybody knows that everybody that comes off that bridge that wants to go down that and takes Oakwood, whether they go to the light or whether they go up north to 120, and it carries a lot of traffic, but yet they deem it as a residential street. So not everything that's on paper is necessarily true. Okay, sometimes you have to take. I applaud you that you bring out all this information, but sometimes you just have to make decisions on your community, and that's why we're here.
I've been more than happy to meet with you offline about this further, Alderman Glad.
Thank you, Chief. I appreciate it.
Alderman Santee, go ahead.
Yeah, like I said earlier, in regards to, we have to make tough decisions, tough votes, and then we move on to our next phase. I just want to, I really do appreciate the attendance that we had at that last committee meeting. I mean, we had 6 out of 7 aldermen there, and it was fantastic. And they participated, and we had citizens engaged, and we had citizens engaged on the phone and on emails. So, and that's my point, is that I want engagement. I want communication. If we can't professionally present ourselves as representatives of the city of McHenry, then we're in the wrong position. And I do appreciate what you folks did that night. And, and it kind of goes to everybody too, staff, Derek and I, he took my thought right out of my mind in regards to discussion items in committee of the whole. I was thinking down the same line as him. So it just makes me feel like it's, when there is communication, I think we're able to kind of know what we're all thinking. We still need to discuss it, still need to engage, and still need to make a decision. But I do appreciate that. I won't be able to run any committee meetings anymore for a while, I guess. So, but that was enjoyable. Thank you very much, fellow council members and staff.
You're muted, Mayor.
Alderman Miller, go ahead.
Well, I just think, to piggyback on Alderman Santee's, I think our community is very aware of our schedule, and they're used to us meeting on Mondays at 7. And I think they will engage with our agendas. So I think what we're looking for is members of our community input on items that are concerning. And they're more likely, I believe, to engage if we are meeting as council, not necessarily as committee, because they may not know when the committees are meeting and they may not know what the committee agenda is. They're more likely to look at council agenda. They're more likely to know when we're going to meet. So I think, again, not to rehash it, but I think it's a good move and I think we will have input. So I'm excited. Yay.
Thank you, Sue. Any other council members have any comments? Alderman Strack, go ahead.
Just wanted to thank staff, especially being one of the newbies here. Just been great to be able to pick up the phone, reach out to directors and everybody and other aldermen as well. Just, been a tough transition to go from that planning and zoning role into the alderman's role, not knowing exactly who to call about items. But especially Troy, who's been fantastic about questions that I've had on a lot of stuff as being the new guy. So I just wanted to thank staff and the other aldermen as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Sean. Alderman McClatchy, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to second that. I mean, we've got top-notch department heads, and whenever I need to call them, they're right on it. So, yeah, thank you.
Any other city council comment? Alderman Santee, go ahead.
Motion to adjourn?
Let me just do one thing.
Yep,
Oh,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Hey, I
Alderman
just
Hardy.
wanted to mention the great job McHenry PD did, especially yesterday, and handling the situation in a high-profile intersection. And nice job, McHenry PD. Way to go, Chief.
Yep.
Great. All right.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn, Alderman Santee.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
It's kind of
Alderman
noisy in
McClatchy.
my kitchen, sorry.
No, it's fine. Alderman McClatchy, second.
Yes, I do.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Santee,
Yes.
Alderman McClatchy,
Yes.
Alderman Glad,
Yes.
Alderman Harding,
Yes.
Alderman Strack,
Yes.
Alderman Devine,
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller.
Yes.
Have a good night.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
Go Sox.